Welcome again to another conversation that we call CHRISTalk. I'm Minister Eric Allen, and tonight I have Sister Carolyn and Brother Kevin with me on tonight. And we are going to just talk a little bit about the hand of God. In Genesis 50, verses 19 through 21, it says, "And Joseph said unto them, Fear not, for am I the place of God? But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good, to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive. Now therefore, fear ye not, I will nourish you and your little ones. And he comforted them and spake kindly unto them." And we just want to talk a little bit on tonight about the hand of God. When I think about the hand of God, like I envision like God's hand doing different things, like holding me, protecting me, keeping me out of harm's way, pushing me towards where he wants me to be. God's hand moves in many different ways. How have you seen God's hand move in your life?
You're going to look right at me right off the bat, huh? No, honestly, when I think of that, really, I just get excited about it because I think about all the times in my life where I know it was nothing but God's hand that really just covered and guided me. And I can think of a bunch of situations where I know it was nothing but God. Like I can think of just being younger, being in this space where I'm trying to be cool, I'm trying to do the things that, get the girls' attention and things like that. And, I can think about, when I'll go here. So when I was younger, and I think it's still the case today with the youngsters, the girls like the bad boy, right? They like that bad boy image. They like, when I was younger, it was cash money and No Limit and all these hip hop artists. So we always looked to them. I remember a lot of girls like Lil Wayne. I don't know why they liked Lil Wayne, considering what he looks like, but they liked him, right? So,
The world may never know.
So me being a young man, a young teen, I thought, okay, I need to get my swag to be similar to one of the rappers. Maybe not so much Lil Wayne, but just a rapper. So I'm doing things like wearing baggy shirts. Roger, our video man, he knows about that because he was wearing them too. And back in those days, we had the T-shirts they were the long white tees, and they would go all the way down to dang near your knees, right? But we did all of this in the video. People in the back are laughing because they know what I'm talking about. But we put on that type of attire because we knew that's what was considered cool at the time, and I'm talking about like the early 2000s, right? And with that attire, it led to a way of life. Trying to do things that, honestly, I don't even want to speak about some of the things I've done. But it was all in the spirit of trying to be cool, what's trendy, what the girls like. And, that's fighting and all kinds of stuff, going to skating rinks and doing just too much, right? And then I remember one time I got in a fight, and some of my friends were not there for me when they needed to be. And literally, that was a changing point in my life.
All right.
Where I went from trying to be this guy to be cool to, okay, that's not the way to go. And I knew right then and there it was God's hand that was on me. And he allowed that situation to happen the way it happened. I ended up moving back to Richmond to stay with my dad full time. And from there, my grades started to pick up because if you know Pastor, he's militant, especially back then. So my grades picked up. He pretty much told me, you're not going anywhere until you do this, and that in school. And after a while, I ended up at El Cerrito High School where I finished, got my diploma, ended up going straight to college, San Francisco State, fresh out of high school. This is a guy that really, at my other high school I went to, they said I wasn't even going to graduate if I didn't take all these credit classes and things.
Right.
But I know right then and there, it was God's hand that turned around that whole entire situation. And from there, I went on to go to college. built a great career. I'm a director at UCSF, and God's been blessing me ever since. But I know it was that moment where God's hand was involved, and He just turned everything around. So that's my example of where I know that was God's hand.
But that's how God works, right? He'll
Right.
take that situation, just like with Joseph in that scenario. Joseph was not just betrayed by his brothers, but left for dead, and then sold into slavery by some other people. And then even in all of that, he was then imprisoned later on. But even in being in prison, he found favor and was then put into a position of power, right? And one of the reasons why his brothers didn't like him was because he had already had dreams about himself being in a position of power and his brothers bowing to him. So sometimes the very thing that people try to take from you, the Bible says what the enemy means for bad, right? Is going to turn around. He'll turn it around for your good. God just does that kind of thing. I mean, I can think of many occasions where God took horrible situations. I'm not quite different from Kevin. Actually, I got kicked out of a school, but it worked out for my good. It was the very school that I got kicked out of was the school I fought to get into because I wanted to be where there was a majority of black students, and I had counselors there tell me, "Oh, I don't think this is the school for you." They had never even seen me before. And so those kind of things just would happen. But then when I got kicked out of the school, I ended up going to the school I never wanted to go to. I was like, I do not want to go to that school. That school turned out to be the best thing for me. And it changed the whole trajectory of where I was going. And that's just what God does. God will work out a situation and you think this is the most horrendous thing that I'm going through. But then when you look back on it, it's that hindsight that tells you, oh my goodness, God, this is what you were doing this whole time? Well, I should just got out of your way in the first place. And that's my other question. In hindsight, Carolyn, how has God had his hand in your life where you didn't know it at the time that it was happening, but when you look back, you're just like, that couldn't be anybody but God.
So I lived in Mississippi for 5 years after college, after high school, because that's where I went to college. And
Where did you go?
Jackson State.
What?
Yeah,
Okay.
so, Deion
Deion
fans got to
Sanders,
turn
prime
to.
time. Okay, Jackson
Yeah.
State.
So
Okay.
my dad's from Mississippi, but coming from California, going to Mississippi, I was kind of in a culture shock. And at the time, I was just like, why am I here? I can't believe I chose to go to school out here. Like, it was just like mind-boggling to just be in this different atmosphere with all these different people. And in that moment, I was just like, I kind of want to go home. I don't want to stick it out. But I feel, looking back at that time, that certain people God put in my journey helped me get along the way and make me stick it out. I got my AA out there and my BA out there, and a part of me was like, I'm about to go home. Like, I don't really want to stay here. But it was just my partner at the time, his family was really embedded in church and stuff like that. And they really pushed me to go to church. And the people I was around, it just was really encouraging to see, a lot of African-American successful people just thriving in this one area. And it was like, California has a lot to offer, but in that aspect, to not be the minority and everyone is just black and powerful and strong and education is the top priority, it was just so empowering for me. And after going to Jackson State, I was like, okay, like this is I'm getting my vibe, I'm getting my feel for everything, I'm meeting different people, I'm feeling more, finding myself a little bit more. And after graduating and coming back here, I was like, God really pushed me in those avenues to just stay encouraged and stay focused and to not let, my surroundings dictate my whole outlook on what it is to come in the future. Like, this is just a moment in time. And that was a humbling experience, being in the South, because, Mississippi is one of the poorest states, and we are very, very blessed to live in such an area like this. Nothing in Mississippi looks like this. The people don't talk like this. Just the food,
I'm jealous of the food.
yeah.
Food out there.
Yeah, the food is really good, like soul food, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they don't have like
Healthy.
different healthy or cultural, different type of ethnic background type of food. So it was just different. But in the end, I feel like coming back and being 30 now, like that really humbled me to just, my school was in a rural area. My junior college was in the woods. So it was like I couldn't walk nowhere. I couldn't drive nowhere. The closest thing was like a Starbucks. I mean, not even Starbucks, a Subway and a gas station and a Dollar Tree. That was the closest thing next to me. We got oceans, hikes, and valleys and things to walk around. And we take those things for granted.
Yes.
And I was just really, going back is really, I have nostalgic feelings and vibes when I get back there because it's like, we are really blessed, and I'm blessed to be able to say I did go to school there. I met people of all different avenues who empowered me to be who I am today, and I know it was God who sent me there to go away to just see, you are blessed, and this is what you needed to do to be who you are today. Because I feel like it helped my attitude, too, because I kind of had a bad attitude as a young person. So I feel like, or I was just like you said, just being at certain schools, at certain people sometimes, like I feel like you kind of had to prove yourself in certain things.
Right.
And I feel like my attitude just grew off that, of my surroundings in that type of way. And going to school, just helped me lighten my attitude and to be more thankful about certain things.